Hello, I am Carrie. Welcome or welcome back. Today I'm doing a VR to Sylvie at Tarot Magpie for the 12 houses, 12 decks prompt. So we're going to look at the 12 astrological houses, and I am using the prompts that Sylvie made over on her channel for the 12 houses. I am currently in the middle of, or the beginning, I'm not in the middle, I am in the beginning of learning about the houses. I used this deck and this book. I have a couple other books, but I haven't even gotten into them yet. I just wanted the basics. So I used these two to make myself some cheat sheets for the signs, for the planets, for the houses. Okay, so I could use dice because dumb shell, right? Okay, so I have a pretty long history of knowing sun signs and knowing people's sun signs, but not really anything else. So when I was 12 years old, I bought the Sun Sign Personality Guide by Robin McNaughton. I no longer have the book. I had it until a couple years ago. I think the last move I finally tossed the book, and there is a reason I finally tossed the book. The book's subtitle is A Complete Love and Compatibility Guide for Every Sign in the Zodiac. So I got this book when I was 12 because, I didn't know all this at the time, but I am a Taurus. So my sun is Taurus and my moon is Libra, and both of those are ruled by Venus. And I just love love. I always have, and I always will. I will always believe in it. No matter how shitty things get, love is going to conquer. Okay. So I knew that about myself, but this book that I had since I was 12 years old, did it influence me? Do I think I'm such a, did I become a dietitian? Do I love cooking just because the book told me I would love cooking? I don't know. But what I didn't know was any of the other information. I didn't know my moon. I didn't know my ascendant. I didn't know any of the other parts of my birth chart. All I knew was the sun. And when I started dating when I was about 15 years old, if we dated even a couple times, you went in the book. I was trying to see, because the book was designed to pair up, okay, a Taurus with an Aries and a Taurus with a Taurus and a Taurus with a Capricorn, etc. And so I would put your name in the book if we dated because I want to see, what does it say about us two together and how that works. I highlighted the book. I had color-coded the outside to keep the earth signs and the air and water and fire signs separated so I could easily find you. And my husband and I very briefly dated when we were teenagers, very briefly. But we knew the same circle of people. So I dated people that he knew, and somehow he and I managed to stay friends. Honestly, I hooked him up a couple times and we double dated. His best friend was my boyfriend for a while. Anyway, we only started really, dating again very, very recently. We both had separate lives and found each other again. And when we started dating, I was like, what's your birthday? And I said, no, wait a minute. I still have my Sun Sign Personality Guide. Let me look you up. Guess who wasn't in the book? I didn't put him in the book. We had dated, but I did not put him in the book. And so with this last move, I think I finally was ready to toss the book. I'm sad I did now, but because it's so funny. But yeah, he was never in the book, but he is the one. So, all right, we're going to use, like I said, Sylvie's prompts. And I am, again, just learning. So we're going to start with first house. And arrival is the keyword on this deck, which is the Star Codes Astro Oracle. But I'm going to read you Sylvie's prompt every time because they're very well done. Good choices, Sylvie. So prompt number 1, self-identity and first impressions. A deck you'd use for readings about your self-identity or a deck you feel represents you in some way. So for this one, because I'm complicated, I'm going to use 2 decks because that's the way it is. So the first deck is my tarot deck, and it is pink and about love. The Tarot of Aphrodite. It is beautiful. Just the sound I make a lot of bags for my decks, but if they all came in a box like this, I wouldn't have to make bags at all. I would never have even learned to sew. That's the only reason I learned to sew. So this beautiful deck definitely feels like me. The greatest thing you'll ever learn is just to love and be loved in return. We're going to see Moulin Rouge very soon. I'm so excited about it. And yeah, it's beautiful. It's absolutely lovely. And I'm not a pink girl, but it's the Renaissance. Is that the time frame? I don't even know. It's the beautiful paintings and art and luxury. Yeah, it just feels like me. I may be always dressed in hiking clothes and not really wear makeup and stuff, but this is just so beautiful. And I love it. I'm currently reading a book about you guys. So this deck, I really am enjoying this new pairing that I have with it. I got this Johnnicky bag. It's so cute. And I had just gotten a deck that has a box that's actually a pretty nice box. But the thing about the box is it's the Forest Magic Oracle, which is so cute. I saw this on Anna, the Well-Appointed Mystic, and she stamped hers, and I did the same thing, and it's great. So I went through the whole book. I read the whole thing. There's only one page, like one little paragraph, basically, for each item in here. But as I am studying herbalism and learning the plants and learning mushrooms and learning the trees so that I can find the mushrooms and find the plants, I'm just finding every oracle that I can, and this is quickly become like a favorite. I didn't love this part and trying to get the cards back in here, but I was like, but it is so cute. It's such a cute little box. But I really don't need to have this out. And this came in like the next day or the day after I finished stamping it, and it just fits so perfectly that this is where I'm keeping it. And look, Bub is right on top. So this combination of like simple plant drawings with messy stamps that I chose the keywords for, along with this well done masterpiece, you know, high quality a production of this deck, like it's just, I'm really enjoying it. The keywords I chose, I looked through the book, I read the whole book. I had other things I needed to do and I needed to study, and I wanted to stamp the decks while I was studying. So I did not take a long time to figure out the keywords, but I wanted to get them right. So I read that whole book, but I also used my own knowledge and Google's and just wrote down keywords that I liked so that I could go back, because I figured there'd be some like sacred, right? That could be for a couple different plants. And I gave it, did I even keep sacred in here? I don't know that I actually used that word. I did. There it is. The vervain is sacred. So there's a couple words that I chose, or a couple plants where I chose 2 words, but most of them I only put 1 keyword on. And some of them are really, really personal. So I'm just been really loving this one. Antidote for parsley. Sustain for myrtle. Peace for pine. No for apple. I was also started out with like longer words. Like for apple, I had knowledge, good health, passion as options, but I'm like, oh, you know what? No. Keep it short and simple, easier to stamp on the cards, and just opens it up a little bit. So yeah, when I could, I used, like I had calming for chamomile, but I'm like, calm also works, right? I used different color stamps. I used the archival inks of different colors, and I don't have a pretty steady hand. I messed up a little bit, but I like it. I have to really give myself permission to mess up a little bit and be okay with it. And I don't know, it really works. These two together for me work. The pristine beauty and that I messed it up a little bit and made it mine, and it's okay. Combination. So this one, corn, is all about like the keywords in the book were, what did they have? Fertility, abundance, but deplete. So corn really sucks up a lot of nitrogen from the soil. So the Three Sisters that lots of Indians, Native Americans, people from Turtle Island planted, they would use squash because the big leaves gave shade, beans, and corn together. So the corn sucked up the nitrogen, but the beans are nitrogen fixers. So it fed the corn. But the corn itself was like the trellis for the beans to grow up. Like it was just a perfect combination. But on its own, corn depletes the soil. And I am super sensitive to corn. I will not sleep if I eat corn. Like it gives me insomnia, like terrible, terrible insomnia. So yeah, I made it really personal, and I love it. For you, I used 2, cycles and ancestors, but most of them, like I said, just have one keyword. There are no keywords in the guidebook. It's just you get this paragraph. So yeah, I gave it a keyword, and I love it. And I think it really speaks to me. Like I feel represented with these 2 together. And like I said, this bag was made by Johniki at Catamancy Tarot. I absolutely love it. I thought I was going to really have a low buy year this year. I set a goal of no more than 10 decks. Haha, that's already happened. But then I thought, F that. I am going to spend less, but it's not going to Amazon. So it's not. So it's going to artists and creators and makers and yeah, like local shops. I went into my local shop today. I bought a tarot deck for my nephew and not for me, right? So yeah, I'm going to spend the money where I can. I started donating to the ACLU for the first time on a monthly basis. I am donating to certain politicians in other states that are running for office. And I have turned off some streaming things. And yeah, I'm going to put my money in different places. So I'm not going crazy buying a ton of decks, but my limit, what I had at the beginning of the year of only going to buy 10 decks, yeah, that's not happening because I'd rather put the money in my local area or to little shops like Riffle and Time and Catamancy Tarot and things like that. Yeah. All right. Speaking of resources, House 2 is about resources, self-worth, assets, and the prompt is personal resources, a deck that helps you reflect on abundance or money matters, or one that feels like an investment, either financially or for its impact on your practice. So for that, it was both financially, it had an impact and has an important impact on my practice. So the mass market of the Guardian of the Night it was so close, but it didn't work for me. It has this giant bow in it and just always have, I tried to trim it myself. I did a great trim job, but it didn't help it be more shuffleable. So I did invest in an out of print, bought on Etsy, Guardian of the Night, and it was so worth it. I was so afraid it wasn't going to be worth it, and it so is. I love it. I don't have a guidebook for it, so I'm keeping the guidebook from this, and I will use the deck. I'm going to do a decoupage with the major arcana at some point. So I'm hanging on to that, but I absolutely love it. So this is the animal deck that I have been looking for. Oh, it just... when I was hiking on the AT and I was close to the end of my hike, I only had a couple 100 miles left, and I went off trail. I wasn't feeling well and I needed to dig a cat hole, go to the bathroom. So I got off trail so that I could do that very privately in the woods. And I thought I ran into a coyote, but it was the most beautiful coyote I'd ever seen. And then I realized it wasn't a coyote afterwards. I was watching videos about the very small number of red wolves that live in the North Carolina, Virginia, Tennessee area. And I'm like, it was a red wolf, and it looked at me, and I looked at it. Was like, oh, what are you doing here? And I was like, oh, hello. It was so beautiful. I like broke down in tears once it ran off, but we had a moment of just staring at each other, and it was magical and beautiful. It was so gorgeous. And yeah, I'm the hare, so it's me meeting a friend in the woods. Hey, I've got to go potty, and I'd like to do it alone, please. So yeah, I don't know why it wouldn't speak to me with a gray border, but with a teal border, which is my color. Yeah, it is amazing. It has also led me to another deck that I didn't think I would like, but once I loved this one, I had a feeling it would work out. We'll look at that deck for another house prompt. So yeah, this is the beautiful, beautiful backs, MJ Cullinane Guardian of the Night indie version. And I have zero regrets about what I paid for it. And I finally put out into the world. I finally like put a number out into the world. Like when I see it for this much on eBay, I'm gonna put a bid on it. And I did, and there it was. So yes, no regrets. I absolutely love this version of this deck. Okay, the third house is about communication, early learning, perception, and the prompt is communication and learning, a conversational deck that's easy to read or that you would recommend to tarot beginners. So I would recommend the Rosebud Tarot to beginners, which is by, I don't have the box, the authors, Amanda Lee Stillwell and Diana Ross Harper. And just so well done. It is a collage mass market deck. I did chop the borders off. So it did have a nice white border. It almost looked like a Polaroid because it's shaped a little bit more square, even though it's still a rectangle, not as big. So I cut the white borders off, and I had regrets about it, but I love it. So it's this mixture of like black and white and color that I love so much. It is diverse. It's an easy reader. I love the renaming of the majors so that they took the gender out of it. And it's just, it is an easy reader. It's a great reader. It goes with a lot of decks. And I like the guidebook. So that's a big reason why I would recommend this to someone new. But honestly, if you're new to tarot, pick the art that speaks to you. My first deck was the Wild Unknown. So your first deck doesn't have to be a Rider-Waite-Smith clone, right? You can do something different and just learn from there. So I really would recommend this one because the guidebook like just gets right to the point. It's short and sweet. And it gives you the basic structure, a little bit about the elements, but then it goes numerologically. So for the majors, you get a little poem. You get the upright and reverse meaning. You get a description of what you're seeing in the card. But then when you get to the majors, the minors, excuse me. I like the name changes. So alchemy is temperance. Emergence is judgment. And okay, so the minors, you get a very brief little primer on numerology, right? So you get the meanings that way, and then they show you all the cards. I know some people hate it. I love it. When you get all the aces, all the twos together. And this is it. This is all you're getting. But what more do you need? So the aces are about unity, action, self, and beginning. And then water, feel, fire, fuel, earth, plant, air, plan, and then just a tiny little fire, fuel. Start the fire, catch the spark, let it burn, right? It's not a lot, but it's enough for you to get the meaning and get started. So I just adore this deck. And then we get to like velocity and generosity. Here's some more. Emergence, death, And the swords are shears. See, it looks like birds, but it's all shears. And it's just inclusive. Super affordable, super available. Okay, so Curiosity is the page. There's my mom on the page. Generosity, Curiosity, Sovereign, and Velocity. Okay, so the page is Curiosity, the knights are Velocity, the queens are Generosity, and the kings are Sovereigns. And I love it. So that would be my recommendation for an easy reader for a beginner or anyone, the Rosebud Tarot. Number 4, Home. What else do I have? Home, Your Pocket in the World. Roots are the keywords that I have for that. And the prompt is Home and Roots, a deck that feels like home and gives you a sense of safety, security, or nostalgia, or a deck that you use for readings about things happening in your home. This is my nostalgia. Even the bag is very, to me, 1970s. I did cut the gilding off and edged it in black. And this is the Shadowland Tarot. And this is my 70s vibe. Addams Family, Munsters. Why can't I ever say that? The Munsters. Da-da-da-dun. The Addams Family, right? It's just like friendly little monsters and creatures, and the colors are just right. Discretion. I love Monica Badersky's changes. I also really love her Awakened Tarot, but this is my Cozy Home deck. It's just so, yeah, it's so cozy. From the TV, I thought these ones that have lots of hair in the front were scary because they remind me of a scary movie. But I got over that. And I'm so glad I did because it is one of my top decks. It is a ride or die kind of deck. And I got this in October. Like, I got a message. It just was like, go to this store right now and go buy this deck. And I was like, what? I don't even like that deck. And while I was there, I also got my buddy. This is Granite. My support heavy beanie. You could put it in the microwave. No, don't put me in the microwave. Doll. So yeah, cozy vibes all around. Reminds me of home. Oh, it's me and my husband. He's so tall and I'm so short. So Shadowland, absolute love. 5th house is about passion, confidence, zest for life, passion again. These are the keywords I have written down in my little notebook. And Sylvie's tarot tag prompt is, drum roll, that's not a very good one, sorry. Creativity and play, a deck that perfectly expresses how you feel, or one that's just fun to use when you want to play with your cards. So I always want to play with my cards. I have a little wooden tray that you would like carry drinks on that I make, you know, these kind of things to go under it, on the bottom of it. And I take out, you know, some cards that I want to play with, and I sit on the couch with my husband and we watch Star Trek or old Survivor episodes, and I play with my cards on a pretty regular basis. But one thing I've been doing a lot lately, I'm going to move this out of the way, is getting myself to write creatively and like just accept that I'm allowed to play, honestly, first of all, when it comes to being creative. So I am using 3 decks at one time. So the first deck is one and I have recently fallen absolutely in love with, and it is because of Guardian of the Night, and it is the Crow Tarot. So I supported my local shop to buy this deck. Very happy with it. It is, I can't even express to you. I have never loved a 4 of Cups. I love this 4 of Cups. several years ago, I got dumped and I was like really heartbroken. And the person who I got dumped by was like my hiking partner, like for day hikes. And so I joined a hiking group so I could meet new people and get out there, but I was still feeling pretty sad. And something was messed up with my camera, my phone. And I took a picture of a tree and it like looked like this. It didn't in real life look like that, but something was wrong with the camera. It almost made it look like stained glass. And I don't know. This deck speaks to me, and it never did. When I saw it on other people's channels, I was like, yeah, but the crows can't even, like, I love crows. But they're crows. They can't hold things. Well, I don't know what to say. Like, if I could only have one RWS clone-ish deck, like, this is it. I am in love. So the crow speaks to me. I don't know why through the television. I didn't get it at all in person. LOVE, love. You know what? I think I even held it. I think I even held a couple cards. Just the best. At my local witchy shop, probably, I don't know, 2 years ago. I think I did. And I was like, yeah. It is so much a yes for me now. So this is one of 3 decks that I use to like tell a story, to help me tell a story. One of the others is the Citadel Oracle, a fantasy oracle by Fen Inkwright. And so I'll just pull a couple of these with a couple of those, and then a card from another deck. And so you get an archetype, right? And then 2 keywords on each of the cards. And it is, I don't know, it just works. It just works. And it's been getting me writing. So for a while, I was using this with the Centennial RWS, and then the other deck that I'm using in this is a deck that Sylvie also really likes, and probably is the reason I know about this deck, is the Sustain Yourself Oracle by James Wainless, who is the person who created the Voyager Tarot. And I have a copy of the Voyager. I cut 3 sides of the borders off. It's too busy for me, and I really hate the color of the border. It's a little busy, but this is just the right amount of busy. And honestly, this could be a homey deck. It just seems like, it just reminds me of like flashcards from school or something. The book, although ginormous, is so good. So I don't really use the guidebook for this particular play session. I'm not using the guidebook for this, but I will pull out the guidebook for this because I really love the keys. And they're often like not telling you too much. So, okay, silver, artful. Let's do this. How I would really be doing a reading. So what I would really do is do a card from here and a card from here on each side. And then I see, okay, the sun, the miser, stubbornness, inflexibility. Silver, artful. The hunter, sure-footedness, predestination with the 4 of cups. Okay, and then I look up silver. I can spell silver. Okay, so in the book, each entry, this giant book, it only gives you this much, but it's usually pretty good. I really love the key, beauty serves. Okay, so that gives me something more if I'm kind of stuck on telling this story. Fashion yourself, work, and life into a conveyor of beauty and utility. You are a medium that conducts utility and luminous aesthetics. Create allure that endures and is valued, treasured and easy to work with, special and common. Apply your art and shine by design. Let your life reflect your creativity. So I take that information, and sometimes I'm just playing and like telling a story, but I've been doing every day like 200 words plus with something like this. Again, I was using the Centennial instead of the Crow, but now this is it. It kind of makes me wish I had the pocket. Okay, so this is a play. This is a play session. The vengeance overcoming slights, a choice with the shepherd, celebration of family. Ooh, the wolf, night. And the other deck. Where's Crow? Okay. There's too many. Queen of Pentacles. With the Nine of Cups. So, yeah, this is a definite creative play time for me. The 6th house is about sustainability. What other keywords do I have? Health, work ethic, craft. The prompt is daily habits, systems, and routines. A deck you use regularly in your practice, or a deck that you use for readings about practical matters. So a way that I read very often is while I'm sitting right here at this desk studying, I will pull out a couple decks, and that changes once a week, every few days, like what that deck is. It's really what I feel like playing with. And recently, what I feel like playing with is the Vision Board Oracle by Amy Zerner and Monty Farber, and the Zerber Farber Tarot together. And so I'll study, and then if I get squirmy and I feel like, oh, I can get up and go do something else. No, let's not get up and go do something else. Let's just flip a card. So I'll study for a little bit. I'll flip a couple cards. Oh, generosity in the world. And then this has an affirmation on the back of it. So generosity is positive energy, and it allows me to give aid to others. Okay. So often what I'm doing is not only keeping myself in my seat and giving myself a little break, but also so often the cards I pull, like I only pull cards when I feel like called to pull the cards. Sometimes it's not because I want to get up out of my seat. I'm just like, oh, let me pull a card. And so often it reflects on like what I'm currently doing and studying. Anyway, so the Hierophant with boundaries. And what is our affirmation? Boundaries. I set healthy boundaries that honor my needs and values in my relationships. So I think they work very well together because they are made by the same person. And I've been, I just have been needing like a little softness and kindness and love. And this is my great-grandmother deck. So my great-grandmother Kitty, I didn't know her, but my grandmother loved her. So she must have been amazing. And this is the deck I use for her. Look at the colors. The Fool and Trust. I set my intention and trust in my abilities to improve my circumstances. Judgment and Focus. I focus my logical mind and concentrate on making smart, effective decisions. So yeah, these two have been my recent sit at the desk and flip some cards. And so then I'll just leave it. And if I feel like using it the next day, I'm just starting where I left off. And then the next day after that, starting again wherever I left off and turning cards. The Empress in Celebration. Anyway, I just love them together. All right, the keywords I have for the 7th house are relationship, partnerships, and relating. And the prompt is partnerships and contracts, a deck you feel deeply connected to, or one that you use for readings that involve other people. This is definitely a deck I feel deeply connected to. The Herb Crafter's Tarot, written by Letitia Guthrie and artwork by Joanna Powell Colbert. LOVE, love this deck. Definitely feel quite bonded to it. I edged it, honestly. This was the green I had in the house. It wouldn't have been my first choice. I wanted like this mint green. But anyway, this is what we have, and I love it. It's so beautiful. And the more I learn about the plant medicine, just the deeper the bond is. So I think it's gorgeous how The court cards are hands of people, but we don't see whole people. Sometimes you see a little part of them, but we don't have any forward-facing people looking at us. We've got Adalitas is the warriors or knights. Curandoras are healers, so that's the kings. And Tulsi is one of my best friends. So I just think the scene sets the mood, even if you don't know anything about the plant. For me, it works. I know it doesn't for a lot of people, but for me, this works so well. Iha's daughters are the pages. I love it. A very loud car just went by. So I know that this book and this deck and I are just going to get to know each other even more. Speaking of the book, though, love the book. You know they know their plants. This is what I'm going for much of the time. Each card, and this is another one that is in numerological order. So all the aces, all the fours, all the curanderas are together in order in the book. And yeah, this little bit right here, I absolutely love. So the Hermit, Usmia. Withdraw into sacred solitude. Gather treasures from the darkness. Emerge with the light. Four of Earth, Willow. I looked at a willow tree today in a nursery. It was $200 and it was so beautiful. I did not get it. Four, I'm saying it's in order. Four of Earth, Willow. Be a wise steward of your resources. Be flexible yet sturdy. Strong roots help young sprouts grow. Like, you get description of what's in the card, and you also get some more great information, as well as some crafting ideas. It is called Herb Crafters, so it gives you craft ideas for them as well. So I just can't say enough about how much I love their choices. Oh, Asia Suler, who wrote Mirrors of the Earth, is doing a podcast, and she's doing a monthly card pull. I'm going to link it below if I remember, on her YouTube channel. So she does, I think it's a 15-minute reading, and she pulls one card from this deck and talks about this on so many levels, so well, so eloquently. She's an herbalist herself and an earth intuitive. I took her winter intuition class, and it was one of the most beneficial things I've ever done for myself, and really helping me to trust myself and regain that intuition that the patriarchy tries to like beat out of you. I just feel like this is what I should have known all this stuff already. So yes, I absolutely love the Herb Crafters. It is one of my top favorite tarots, and I definitely have a deep relationship with it. Madres are the mothers, are the queens. Catnip, not just for cats, it's good for us too. Okay, House 8 is mystery, karmic connection, research, and the prompt is transformation and secrets to be uncovered. A deck you use for shadow work and things you want to bring to the surface, or one that feels like magic. So this deck, I honestly thought at first, before doing this tag, I thought, wouldn't it be funny if I used this deck for all 12 prompts? Because it just could work that way, I think. I absolutely love it. It is the Magical Nature Tarot, and I think it is magic. And it was brought to us by Jory Morgan and their spirit guides. There is now, you can buy on Etsy their guidebook, but when I purchased this deck, there was no guidebook other than the online guidebook. So I made it a project and sat down. It was after Christmas time, and it was just a rough time. So I just gave myself this job of writing down the keywords and then picking out pieces of the channeled guidance that they got. So I started like, oh, I'll just do the majors. And then I was like, well, I also really love the way they talk about and rename the coven cards or the court cards. And I always love it when they remove gender from it. So instead of page, knight, king, and queen, we have seeker, apprentice, mentor, and ancestor. But the ancestor is really the queen is the highest one, right? And the mentor is the king, but the queen is older, right? And wiser. And and then I just went ahead and did the pips as well. So I wrote my own guidebook copying down their keywords from their website. Again, you could buy the guidebook now on Etsy if you want to. And this deck, it is, there was another prompt about like sustainability, but this could be in that one. It's the most sustainable deck I have, and yet shuffles like a dream. It is gorgeous. They made a collage deck with their own, they made ink, and then they painted with that, or they made paint, I guess, out of natural things, like nuts and flowers and iron oxide. Just so well done, so beautiful. And this person, Jory, didn't know tarot. They were called to make a tarot deck. And dang, did they do a good job. So I love it. It's diverse. This reminds me of Springer, Amicalola Falls in Georgia, where the Appalachian Trail starts, or the approach trail to the Appalachian Trail. And one of my favorite cards. So it's so beautiful and so well done. And it does feel like magic. It feels like magic. Cannot recommend enough. This again, like I said, it could be for all the prompts. This would be a great first card. First card, first deck. Look at the Ancestor of Pentacles. Look, it's a mountain. And that's like a real mountain range. It's so beautiful. Yep, Magical Nature Tarot. Gorgeous. And we are on the 9th house. I have exploration, life, philosophy, seeking as keywords. And Sylvie has exploration and worldview, a deck that has expanded your perspective on the tarot, or one that you use for spiritual or philosophical questions. So my gateway drug, my gateway deck into the Thoth or Thoth or Toth is this one, which is the Zillich Tarot that I trimmed. And this is another one that, because I trimmed it, and I knew it for a while, but then I stopped using it. I have it in order right now because I'm going to do a thing. I stopped using it, and then I couldn't remember all the pips, who was who. So I pulled up a website so I could look at the cards with their titles on it, and then I wrote down like the description of the card and the keywords. And this is how I learned. I have an original Thoth, but I don't really like it. I do like the artwork, but the colorization of this particular deck, like, it's so bad. I just don't like the borders. I'm never going to like the borders. So I'm glad that I did this, and now I absolutely love it again. I think it is so beautiful. And yeah, this was my gateway into the Thoth. You would think the Thoth, I do have a Thoth. Like, I guess that was my first Thoth deck, but I bought one on Trail because it was the smallest, lightest deck at the store. So I could have a deck on Trail. And I had an amazing experience with that deck. But again, the colorization is just not great. So this watercolor, like, it's so beautiful. And then I got Outgrow Yourself, and absolutely love it. And then gorgeous. So I'm not going that far into it right now. Like, we'll look at this another time. If you really want a diverse thoth, this is very diverse. I love it. It doesn't have the keywords on it, but it does have the astrological symbols. But yeah, this little zillage, so beautiful. No, don't do that. Abundance, luxury, disappointment. What did I write for my keyword for disappointment? So I could remember what card it was. I know it. I can tell by looking at it, it's a 5. I wrote, I like walking because it reminds me of Pride and Prejudice. Pleasure, debauch, indolence. It is bliss in this deck, but happiness in the thoth, and satiety. And then they changed satiety to satisfaction in this one, but other than that, all the other keywords are thoth. Yeah, and I just love it. Look at my queen, so pretty. Zillage Tarot, expanding my horizons, as are now numerous thoth decks. Okay, the 10th house, the keywords I have are authority, career, your sense of mission and reputation, and the prompt is recognition and reputation, a deck that you trust to get it right when you're looking for guidance, or one that defines your tarot style, a deck that people associate with you. Well, I don't know if anybody associates it with me, but I do. The Scarab and Dahlia, and okay, my opposite. So absolutely love this deck. It is, I don't know. I trust it to get it right, I guess is what I'm saying. It's just absolutely one of my faves. Collage. Often I'm pairing it with other things. This is often like the centerpiece, and then I'll have a couple other tarot decks on either side. And it's another one that I use for like a storyteller, but it tells me true stories. I could ask it like it's not about me, and it comes back as being about me. So this is definitely a deck that I trust to get it right. And I really freaking like looking at. It's so beautiful. The star. The star, the moon, and the sun in this deck are just chef's kiss. Beautiful. I love that you have 4 options for lovers and 2 options for death. And one of the best King of Cups ever. Look, the octopus. Love the pages. Yeah, I like this. Again, this could be one that you use for every prompt. Yeah, love it. LOVE. It did come with silver gilding and more normal corners, but my corner rounder decided to die when I was trimming this one, and I had to go with the big one to save the deck. So, yep, Scarab and Dahlia, absolute love, and it represents me. And the 11th house is concerning community, social, and humanitarian beliefs. And the prompt is community and collaboration, a deck that you use for readings about activism and collective energy, or one that reflects a wider network you are part of. So this reflects a wider network I'm looking to be part of. So I moved to the state I'm living in, which I've lived in before, but hadn't lived here for a long, long time. And I don't really know anyone besides my husband, and we moved here just a few months before the pandemic. And then like I just stayed in pandemic mode. I did leave and go hike the Appalachian Trail. Like I met lots of people, but I didn't meet lots of people here. So I have recently joined a non-denominational UU church, and they have yoga and they have a writing group, and yeah, I'm looking just so gorgeous. It looks like a picture. That's the artist, by the way, if you didn't know. That's Joanna. Oh, I didn't introduce the deck. This is the Guy and Tarot, and this is the second edition. The third edition is coming out the end of April. It's going to have green borders and not be as large, and I cannot wait to get it in my hands. It would be great to have something I can shuffle better and doesn't have, you know, uneven borders and everything. And because I had to trim off the big blue borders and the silver gilding. And just the cardstock is really hard to shuffle. So it's not my favorite in that way, but the art, I just love it. I think it's so warm. Like the people are real people. So when I cut the borders off, I actually did 2 separate trims. I thought if I could just get it a little smaller, maybe I could handle it better. And I was like, there are certain things I was not willing to cut, and I was not willing to cut the orca's face off. But the gardener, the Empress, did lose some toes in her elbow. But, you know, we have to have priorities. And I thought she'd still be okay with that. You know, I didn't want to lose this, but the lovers, look at them. Those are real people, right? So I absolutely love this deck. I don't do readings about activism, but you know what? I'm looking to meet new people to go on marches with while we still can. I love this version of the 3 of Swords, the 3 of Air. No heart, no bleeding heart. So it's not just human community, it's animal community too, because we're all in this together. And I just love it. Yeah, I cannot wait to have the new one. Look at her. Badass. Look how the 2 of Water, right? I love my dogs. I love all my dogs. So, yep. Perfect. Love it. Very community-based deck. And that is the 11th house. And for the last house, the 12th house, keyword introspection, spirituality, formlessness, surrender, I chose an oracle deck. So the Energy Archaeology Oracle, absolutely amazing. Oh, I didn't say the prompt. Secret and Hidden Depths, a deck you use to work with your unconscious and understand themes that bring themselves to the surface, or one that feels like it has hidden knowledge. This is both. I guess spent a lot of time like disassociating from my body a lot in the past, and this deck, like yoga, the chakras, really helps me connect how I'm feeling in my body with emotion and figuring out, wait a minute, is that emotion for what's currently happening, or am I just programmed this way from shit that happened in the past? And nothing has helped, no cards have helped as much as this deck for helping me just understand myself and my body a little bit better. I think it is brilliantly done. It is written by Ashley Stinson and illustrated by Kelly Finnan, and they did an amazing job. The book, so the art is amazing. The guidebook is amazing as well. They're in alphabetical order by their keyword, but you could also look up in the book by the bones if you want to. So we've got a key here, so we can see that. And it's just so well done. You get the anatomy. There are some bones you're like, where's my hyoid? What is that? And so you get the anatomy, some properties, the energy, and wisdom. And then I always love when we get some questions and like journal prompts in here. The only thing I don't like about this deck is this font is a little hard for me to read. I always have to remind myself that all these things that I think are a G or an S, there's a G, there's an S. But other than that, I mean, if I could only have one oracle deck, this is the one, because it is so helpful. It absolutely helps me understand themes in my unconscious. And yeah, let me understand how it makes me feel in my body. So for years, I had pain right here. And back in the day, so I worked in outpatient clinic, and I had a doctor right upstairs, and I had my integrative doctor like down the street. So I knew, like, I just want some pain medicine, right? I would go upstairs and see the regular doctor. When I wanted like to figure things out and make it better, I would go see my integrative doctor. And I had this constant pain here. And for several years, she was trying to get me on like an SSRI, an antidepressant. And I was like, do you think I have anxiety? Oh my God, do you think I have anxiety? I don't have anxiety. Do you think I have anxiety? I can't believe she thinks I have anxiety. It turns out that was a lot of the problem. But also like sitting in the car driving like really hurts that shoulder. And the funny thing is, when I went out on trail, I had 35 pounds in my backpack. I ended up trying to be lighter as much as possible, but I started too heavy. And it didn't matter. I was exhausted. My feet hurt. My back did not hurt. Carrying 25 to 35 pounds, sometimes even a little more, up and down the equivalent of 16 Mount Everests, back did not hurt at all. And I also didn't have anxiety out on trail. So there definitely is a connection. And this deck just helps you see shit like that. So I absolutely love it. I highly recommend. I will put links down below for, this is an indie deck, but so worth it. And I actually open her emails. I get, I'm on her email list. I don't open a ton of emails, but I open her emails. So that tells you something. So yeah, this is my Secret Hidden Depths deck, and it's gorgeous and well put together. It's amazing. So those are my decks for the 12 houses. What are yours? I can't wait to keep seeing these. So I'll check back on Sylvie's page with the tag for the 12 houses. 12 houses, 12 decks. Thanks everyone. Bye.